Yeah, live from Chicago, 68th and Ashland.
All right, man. I grew up about a 7-hour drive east in Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay, for sure. I'm not too familiar with just the bigger city in Ohio.
Yeah, Cleveland, Columbus. I'm about an hour south of Cleveland.
Okay, how did you end up in Australia?
That's a crazy one. Yeah, I ended up going. I know you wrestled at Eastern Illinois, right?
Yeah.
I went to play baseball at the University of Pittsburgh, and then transferred to California in 2005 in Fullerton. So like lived in Long Beach, California. I just never felt like I fit in anywhere, man. And then moved to Las Vegas. Was in Vegas for 2 years, and then in 2013, I was 30. I ended up getting like a 2 week working holiday, they call it, for Australia,
Yeah.
and came down here for 2 weeks, man. It was April. Flew back to the States, and I was like, man, and then I just moved there in September.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. You're in a great place though. A great,
have you
great,
been
great.
down here?
Yeah. I was down there last year this time.
Okay.
I think Bully had a fight there. We was down there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, I wanted to say three. My wife wasn't having it.
Did you? I saw Bilal fight down here when he fought
Yeah.
Tim
Means.
Means. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was at that fight.
Yeah. I was cornering for that one.
Okay.
Yes. It was it's expensive in Sydney, but definitely, yeah, definitely, but definitely a good place to do holiday at.
Yeah, man. Yo, Lewis, how much time do you have?
I'm waiting on about 15 minutes.
Perfect. Yeah, cool. So back to the money thing, how you said it was expensive. That's kind of like a mental framework perspective thing because to relate to, I was reading an article that you were given an interview before the PFL tournament had started, and the interviewer had asked you about the $1 million prize, and then you mentioned you're like, well, it's really not that much. It's not really, it's enough for yourself to kind of invest in other things,
Yeah.
but it's not enough to just totally like get head over heels specifically on that goal as just being the $1 million. That mindset is a mindset of like a worker, a grinder, somebody that doesn't just get big eyed or wide eyed for one specific thing. I know you're a wrestler and you've been in the game a long time. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that. Let's talk about where that mindset started kind of molding itself for you, and how it's led to you becoming a world champion.
Well, that mindset, I guess, would have, just in how I built myself and how I found myself in college. Period. Um, at the time, my mom was going through some things. I had a police officer uncle. He took me in so we could use their address and live with him and get me to a better school for wrestling. Um, and from there, I've been on a grind ever since. And I always tell people my childhood was harder than my adult life. Being a kid was rougher than anything I've ever experienced as an adult. So any trials or tribulations now is nothing compared to making it out of Southside Chicago as a kid.
Yeah, man. You had you've let's start. You recently went by like your first nickname, Handguns. I remember
Yeah,
when I remember when I first started watching you fight. I think it was like a head kick knockout, maybe right when you
yeah,
first started, like 2010, I think. And that
yeah,
nickname, that nickname alone, I had a note. I had it in my notes. You were fighting Ryan Sturdy, and then people for because the show's being down. This podcast it's listened to 80 different countries, but because I am an American but living in Australia, the numbers, a lot of the listeners are from Australia. They won't know the demographic or like the social constructs of that part of the country where you come from in Chicago. So going from the nickname Handguns to put the guns down, that's a personal choice because I mean the gun violence in your hometown, and it's something the country really doesn't talk about that much.
yeah. Trump hates Chicago, so he always talks smack about it. Um, Unfortunately, like Chicago's a great city in certain pockets, but I mean, you actually have certain pockets that are bad that boost up the entire murder rate for the entire city. Although most of the city is good. You got the South Side where I'm from, Inglewood, which is actually where I'm at right now, and then you got the West Side. Those two locations alone see enough gun violence to put Chicago at the top of the list for murders.
Yeah, man. And I know in your Instagram profile, the foundation, is this part of, is this like a, do you feel like it's a duty to spread the word about, I know you're starting to put the guns down foundation. Could you share
Yeah.
insights on what that is and your intentions behind that?
Um, I don't think it's a duty. I really hold no. I owe nobody nothing. Let's say that
Mm.
much. So I don't feel like I owe my city anything. As much as my city has taken from me and all the people have taken from me, I don't owe my city anything. The fact that I'm still here and living is a plus. But it's just something I want to do internally. Um, I've been fortunate enough. My wife is Turkish, so I've been fortunate enough to be somewhat adopted by the Turkish community here in Chicago, and I've had the opportunity to learn how they build their community within America because they're far from home and spread out. And I see the way they've been able to do things. And it's amazing to me that even though they're thousands of miles from home, they bring their culture with them and still embed better parts of America and just growing their community. And so that's just, I want to take that blueprint, mix it in with like the Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago, and just merge it so that here in Chicago the people can learn to network better, to learn to not just drop your kids off for like some kind of babysitting service, but know that but come in and join and know that you're in around positive people. Just a place where you're not just meeting up to because I feel like in an urban community we only meet to drink or party or smoke or negatives, not necessarily just to sit down and have a cup of tea or coffee and just exchange ideas or read a book. I just want more, more positive focused minds, more people who have the same mind track, even if that same mind track is I want more for my kids. In your efforts to provide better for your kids, you might accidentally better yourself. And so that's all I'm looking for, to bring those type of people together.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. The show is called Ungoogleable, and I name it that because I think we live in a culture, in a world where we're so quick individually to search outside of ourselves externally, take the magic pill, hire the magic coach, take the magic diet, and we've lost contact with the things that are most important. We already have inside of us. You can't search for them. So that's where the show's title comes from. Now, I end every show with the most important thing in life is the network we build with each other, the communication, the bonds. So after, man, when you won your fight, when and I introduced you already on the beginning of this podcast, and the people listening already know what went down. And that left hook lands, and watching Bilal and you and the rest of your team, man. I played ball growing up, football, basketball, baseball, box as a kid. Those bonds, though, man, that it crosses all sort of boundaries. Like that is your family. Talk about that and what it meant to you to have those people who care about you so close for so long. Share that with you.
You know, it having Roberto, Bilal, Herc, all those people in some ways been with me from day one. Um, they've been there every time that this industry has tried to keep me down, even to this day. Um, they basically, in a sense, in my eyes, tried to stall me out. Um, and wait for age and father time to be like, oh no, see, I told you that guy wasn't that good, But I just love to prove them wrong. And sharing those moments, everybody who knows who I am and they know basically how humble I am as a person. Um, they just all appreciate it. And I do a lot for people, and I never ask for much back. And so, and that's just a part of who I am as a person. I feel like when you do, if something comes back to benefit you, fine. But worrying about it or looking over your shoulder trying to see if it's there, it's a waste of energy to me. So I do things. I just do them because I want to, because they feel like the right thing to do. If I feel like it's the right thing to do, I do it. If it comes back to benefit me later, thank you. But I believe in karma, and so just having Bilal, who I taken from a high school wrestler and been on his journey with him, Roberto, who I helped run his gym, you know, these people I never charged a fee, you know, And now to just see the people who I helped come back to help me achieve my dreams, it's just one big circle of karma. Everything, and now we're gonna keep putting more positive karma into the world.
Yeah, man, it's a powerful thing when you have like-minded people for a positive cause actually doing something. So people like kind of get delusional with what they want and what they need. People want to have grandeur ideas of what their life should be like, but they're not working for anything. They're not trying to develop themselves. So watching your team on all these different levels continue to push yourself and grow. Like I'll be 37 in April, and I know you're 39, and you
Yeah,
really didn't start MMA. I mean, late 20. I think you're in your late 20s,
yeah.
which isn't. I mean, you got guys now starting at 9, 10, 11 years old, and am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did the UFC sign you, and then the fight dissipated, and then they didn't sign you?
Basically, they signed me to fight Uriah Hall. Unfortunately, they called me January 2nd, and
Was that this year?
no, this was like I forgot exactly what year. I want
A
to say
couple
like
years ago.
no, it was like 2015.
Okay.
It was Connor was it was on a Boston card for the UFC, so Connor was still headlining. He was just getting his buzz going. It was a great card to be a part of, but the thing about when you sign for the UFC, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of signatures, a lot of medicals to get done, eye
Mm-hmm.
exams, MRIs, EKGs. So and I don't know if they brought me if they were thinking I was planning on losing or whatever you want to call it. Uriah Hall is no easy task. So in me trying to prep for such a tough opponent, I'm going balls out. Plus, it's my first UFC fight. I'm training super hard, but then at the same time, I got to get all this paperwork done. So I'm not getting enough rest, and I end up like having like a muscle spasm cramp that wouldn't go away. And every time I tried to get back up and train again, it kept locking up. And so I had to pull out because I couldn't train. And as soon as I had to pull out, they cut my contract. And that's just one of those things where, as a man and not a puppet, you have to decide is health over wealth. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I could have easily I could have easily just waited until weigh-ins and then pulled out and took a check, you know, and be like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, I'm hurt, I can't fight, on the day of weigh-ins. But I didn't want to do that to Uriah Hall. He trained for a fight. So me knowing I was having issues, I thought I was going to be the bigger man and give him enough time to find a new opponent instead of doing what my manager wanted me to do and not say nothing and just show up and cash a check and then fight again. And I thought the UFC would honor that and respect it, but they didn't.
Yeah, man. So my old roommate, she's Australia's first lady ever to fight in the UFC, Alex Chambers. So she lived with me for a
Right.
while. She's a little strawweight, and a couple of my friends have fought in other organizations. And I know you referenced earlier, and you've been vocal about the whole like it's the $1 million isn't something to just celebrate over. But I know guys and girls who are fighting in that big organization getting paid like $2,000 to fight, $4,000 to fight, and like $4,000 to put your life on the line for this big company. So when I heard and I saw in your path this last year, you kept winning, and then you won. I'm watching in my house, and that to me was bigger than the check. That to me, like what you accomplished in that moment, was almost like a culmination of your body of work. So when you had your arm like this, Boss Rutan, who else was talking? Because I just had Boss
Right.
on the show
Or,
yesterday.
yeah,
When,
Randy
when you
Couture.
Couture, yeah, when you had your arm up and you'd already won, they're getting ready to announce you as the winner. What did it feel like? Not what were you thinking, but what did it feel like internally?
It, it felt exactly what you just described. It was where I envisioned myself being. So I wasn't surprised. Everybody always asks me, was I surprised? And it was just a awesome moment because the money gives me a better platform to do other things. But like you said, for me, it was showing the world and just proving it to myself that I deserve to be a world champion. Just as fast as like I was saying, I fought David Branch 5 rounds. It was a great fight,
Yep.
but he goes from our fight. becomes top 6 in the world, you know?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I should be ranked at least. Almost, defeated, I had some good moments in that fight. I'm not ranked, not mentioned, still looked over. And then even coming into the PFL this season, still looked over. You know,
Underdog.
the only thing they want to mention is my age, my age, my age. Never about my skill set, or about how they think I fight as a fighter. Only thing they ever mention me by is age, age, age. I'm like, so it's a lot. It's and in coming into this fight, being a 2-1, 3-1 underdog. Um, I always tell people I fight better when the competition's better. And
Yeah.
and so I like the challenge of having somebody like a Boost in front of me. But no matter who I beat or how I beat them, whenever I beat them, they become a bum to everybody else.
Oh, dude, that left hook, man. It's was it like hitting a pillow? Like
Yeah,
when it landed?
you really don't feel it. My right hand had more impact than the left hand. Um,
It was like your power though. You had literally generated this force. So that's the explosion you carry as well that you said that people overlook. And I've seen it in your other fights. You're really able to start and stop with such force and generate such power in these small spaces. But what he had done was he had given you that space to deliver it all in a longer kind of range, and he just caught it at the perfect time. That's like
yeah,
talk about that.
it was something my coach Herc Hayes saw in him. I didn't really question it, but he wanted me to go with the jump 3-2. But after I landed the 3, there was no need for the 2. But
I was screaming. I was screaming at the TV, man. I
yeah.
had you. They had you at a 4-1 underdog down here in Australia.
Oh wow, yeah, you should. Yeah,
Easy
but
money.
I knew. Yeah, I mean that's. But the people betting might have saw it that way, but the thing is, everybody who continues to bet against me and just consistently were proven wrong, they all, for the most part, come up to me and just apologize, like, bro, I am tired of betting against you. I keep thinking that you're gonna lose, and you just keep proving me wrong. And I appreciated that, and I think that that me having the opportunity to even be in the finals, given the John Howard situation, which
Mm.
could have been handled a different way, was also a blessing. And I was glad that the PFL stood up for me in that moment to make sure that the judges got it right and go get the rule book and take the 14, 15 minutes that wasn't necessarily positive for viewers on television, but they made sure that they got that call right. And coming into this night on New Year's Eve, they put me as the first fight of the night, but again, I was able to produce magic for them and hopefully help boost them going into the 2019 season. So I'm hoping that they keep my weight class. I'm hearing rumblings that they might get rid of it, but I'm hoping that they keep it around. I really love fighting for the PFL, and I want it to be my home going into this 2019 season so I can retire as the champ.
Yeah. Before I let you go, man, you just posted a picture of yourself with the belt, and you had the caption, "What do you fight for?" So my question for you now is, being the 2018 champion, you've had a your career. How much longer do you want to fight? I mean, in terms of here inside of you, your heart, and what's 29? What are your goals for 29 as a fighter?
Honestly, like, it's crazy, but this year was not about that money.
Mm.
This year was about me fighting for me. 2019 is about me fighting for money. you know, 2019, I'm fighting for checks.
Yep.
Um, I This money from that I have left over from the million, that's to take care of my family. But if I want a car or any of that other hoopla things, 2019 is the time for me to secure it. And so, or better, more leverage for financial investments. So I proved everything I needed to prove for my family and those who believed in me. And now it's time for me to get selfish and fight for these checks.
Yeah, man. Hopefully the PFL does re-sign you and they do the right thing and they continue with that format because I love it. But, you know, it's something to think about as well. Maybe you could research, ask your team to look into it. Down here in Australia and the Southern Hemisphere, the numbers are actually bigger because of the population for one championship. You got Rich Franklin, the
No,
VP. They just sent Misha down here. And do you know that the 185 champ is a guy that draws like millions of people? Og Sang, he's from
no,
he's from Myanmar.
no. I actually like ONE FC a lot. You know, I know they just did the TNT deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they
Uh,
take care of their fighters too.
yeah, you know, I'm definitely, you know, I definitely, but you know, I'm a middleweight champion now. Maybe they'll take a look at me. I wanted to get in there before, but they wasn't really signing anybody who wasn't a champion. So
Yeah.
maybe I can. You know, I believe I carry myself in a positive light and respectable manner, and I know that that's something that they're looking for in their promotable fighters. So maybe they give me a chance, and that'll be dope to come down there and shake your hand in person.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and before I let you go, dude, you're a motivating guy. You know, you're very inspirational to a lot of people, which you probably don't even realize. Maybe give some, you know, leave some advice for somebody out there struggling with anything, you know, outside of the fight game, just in life. Maybe some advice that's worked for you to overcome that sort of stuff.
You know, the thing about life, you know, like a Rocky movie, like Rocky said in his movie, life is hard. And you have to be able to take the punches and keep moving forward. It's a cliche now, but it's the truth. Um, and about society as in general, I just believe in live and let live. And the one thing I'll say about to anybody who's trying to climb up, stop caring what other people think about you. Do it for you. Stop caring about the social media and the likes, and I know it's effective because it gets you paid and it draws more attention. So financially, it could be gratifying as well as your social ego. But stop caring. You do what you need to do and follow your own dream and believe in yourself. Because you're never gonna, no matter how much somebody else believes in you, if you don't believe in yourself, you're gonna fail. So put all that belief in yourself and stay just complete tunnel vision on your goals and make them happen. And good luck to you.
My man, Lewis, man, I appreciate your time. Off the record now, for the marketing component of me, you know, marketing this episode, do you want me to just grab a picture